11 show, Ped isn't well. I'm standing in for him. Subbed in. So we are facing Wolverhampton Wanderers at Molineux this Saturday. The game Everton can win. Let's get to Molineux. Get the 3 points. Get the away win ticked off early on. And this is the team that I think can go and get those 3 points at Molineux. In goal, Jordan Pickford, of course, undisputed Everton #1, was given the night off on Wednesday against the Mansfield game. He was nowhere to be seen, just chilling out, ready, focused and laser focused on the trip to Molineux. So obviously Jordan Pickford in goal for Everton. Seamus Coleman had a great game the other night against Mansfield Town, but he's going to settle for a place on the bench this week as Jake O'Brien is coming back in at right back. I think Jake, particularly away from home, does really well for us. Very solid, of course, dangerous in both boxes in terms of his height and the size of him. And I think David Moyes would just go for him anyway. He'd say he's his #1 right back right now. So Jake O'Brien in at right back. Vitaly Mykolenko came back in against Mansfield the other night, and I'm giving him his place, his starting place here at Wolves. James Garner's done quite well at left back in the opening 2 Premier League games, but Mykolenko just gives us more balance with the left foot anyway, and he is part of David Moyes' first choice defence, so he is back in there. And then James Tarkowski at centre-back. Little bit ropey, shall we say, for the first 45 against Brighton, but second half against Brighton much better, and then he was fine against Mansfield. He loved the physical battle, didn't he, that he had with the Mansfield forwards the other night. But James Tarkowski in at centre-back, and of course Michael Keane alongside. And we don't have any options right now. Obviously, Jared Branthwaite getting closer to being back in training, but not available yet. And then obviously unless Everton bring a right back in over the next couple of days, then Jake O'Brien will continue to be right back, and it'll be a choice of 3 centre-backs for the season. But the first choice pairing is obviously Branthwaite, Tarky. But right now, Michael Keane, who I thought has been excellent. Certainly Brighton game, he was brilliant, and he was sound the other night against Mansfield as well. And even fine at Leeds. I think Michael started the season quite well. So him and James Tarkowski make up Everton's back four. Into midfield, I just talked about James Garner playing at left back and doing quite well. I'm putting him in midfield tomorrow against Wolves. He was in there the other night against Mansfield. Did quite well, obviously. And I think sitting, a game against Wolves who were quite strong in midfield, we are going to have to keep our shape. I think when we played them back in March, was it? In the February, March time, I think it was March. They were quite strong in midfield, particularly in the first half. And I think we have to be equally strong. And I think that's the best part of their team. And therefore, I think we need that little bit of protection that James Garner gives us in the 6. So James Garner in midfield. He's going to be joined by Idrissa Gana-Gueye. Idrissa Gana-Gueye, who wasn't part of the Everton side the other night against Mansfield. He is back in midfield. What can you say about Idrissa? He's everywhere. Like he was last week against Brighton. He was here, there and everywhere, putting fires out. And we'll need that against a good side like Wolves, or a good midfield like Wolves have got. So Idrissa Gana-Gueye in there. And they'll be joined by Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall back in the side. After sitting on the bench for the Mansfield game. I think he started quite well. He's got better the more games that have gone on, and I think he'll be key for us getting hold of the ball and just using the ball better, because again I keep talking about Wolves' midfield, but for me that's their strong point. So when we get the ball back, we've got to be able to keep hold of it and use it well. So Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall back in midfield. He's coming in instead of Carlos Alcaraz, who had a good game the other night. He got a great goal. Just right now, he's going to have to battle to get in the side, Carlos, but he's a really good squad player. Proved that the other night, and I think he's going to get better and better. And there'll be times this season, I think, when he'll be forcing his way into David Moyes' starting 11. But for this one, he's going to be back on the bench to start. On the right-hand side, Iliman Ndiaye, as he was against Brighton and Hove Albion last week, came off the bench the other night and showed us a few cameos and the reason why we really, really rate him. Brilliant dribbler. He's a goal threat as well, as we saw last week. So Iliman Ndiaye back on the right-hand side for this one. And Jack Grealish over on the left-hand side. Jack has been brilliant since he come in. Full debut last Sunday against Brighton. He was outstanding, 2 assists. and then done a good hour against Mansfield the other night, and again showed calmness on the ball, the ability to beat people, link the play a lot, and again, this will be key at Wolves. And he's just, when he's in the team, he just gives us something else, doesn't he? And I think he attracts players, defenders naturally to him, which means there's a little bit more space in and around them. And obviously, that's where we're hoping Dewsbury Hall goes and joins in there. Last week we saw Grealish beat the defender, cross it, and we saw Njai coming in on the other side for a tap-in. We want to see a lot more of that. But Jack Grealish is fantastic. Being left out the England squad, okay, well, just keep playing well for Everton and you'll be back in there. That's the challenge for him. And certainly he proved last Sunday that he's up for the challenge. So we want to see more of Jack Grealish. And having the balance of Mykolenko able to go beyond him at times as well, because he opens up the space just by the nature of the way he plays. Hopefully Mykolenko can get in round the back and put some decent balls in for their people in the box. So Jack Grealish on the left. And up front, I've gone with Beto. Even though I think Tierno Barry's been, against Brighton, I thought he had a really good game. Was involved in both goals, was key. I thought against Mansfield the other night, done some good, some bad, but some lovely little link-up play. But I just think for this one, for the first hour, let Beto go and battle it out. Again, that Premier League sort of knowledge that he's got. I think Wolves, I watched a few of the, bit of the highlights from the other night, and quite a few times the West Ham players just ran off their defence and were in, almost on top of the keeper. And Beto is good at getting in behind. So I think go with Beto for the first hour, let him knock them about a little bit, see if we can get in behind them, and then keep Tierno Barry to come on for sort of like the last half an hour when maybe they're tiring a little bit and he can come on and really affect it. I know there'll be some people will say the other way round might be better. I don't know. But for tomorrow, I'm going to go with Beto leading the line, then Tierno Barry coming on for sort of the last half an hour and making a difference then as well. So that's my starting 11 for Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Everton and Molineux. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. What changes would you make? Tyler Dibbling, new signing, made his debut the other night. I've got him on the bench. But isn't it good to look at that bench and think there's a bench there that's got Tyler Dibbling, Carlos Alcaraz, Tierno Barry, Timmy de Boonham, all players who've been, played and done the business for us, or, been in the first team and stuff. Harrison Armstrong, all on the bench, giving Everton some real options. Dwight McNeil's another one who's there. So we've got some real options off the bench, and that's going to be key because David Moyes has talked about this a few times, having no real options to come off the bench. We've seen other teams doing it against us, making 5 changes that have sometimes been pivotal to the results. Even the Leeds game the other week, they brought 5 on to really give it a freshness near the end, to give them a bit more energy, given we were in control at that time. But I'm going to say it forced the game back into their hands, because I don't think that was true. They got the penalty from our mistake, but it gave them fresh legs, a fresh impetus. And I think the more that we can do that, it means we can stay in the games and the quality levels don't really drop too much. So that's going to be key, I think, again tomorrow. But a great opportunity for Everton to build on that win against Brighton and obviously the win in midweek. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. What changes would you make to the starting 11? Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. Check out the match preview that me and James have done ahead of Wolves v Everton. And have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. See you later.